Good evening, and thank you for joining us once again here on Thursday Night Sports Talk. On tonight's show, we're going to hear from all three of the inductees into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame, Winamac head football coach Tim Roth, along with Purdue football legends Leroy and Mike Alstott. We'll also be playing some clips from last night's ceremony. Let's get to it.
Gentlemen, the following is called the Indiana Football Hall of Fame Proclamation. From tears of sadness and disappointment to the ecstasy of joy and the excitement of success, Tim Roth, Leroy Mike Alstott have provided examples of dedication to further the excellence of the game of football. Through their example, they have met the standards established by the Indiana Football Hall of Fame to be worthy inductees of the Indiana Football Hall of Fame located in Richmond, Indiana. A photo, a resume of achievements, and a duplicate plaque like the ones presented here this evening will be on permanent display at the Hall of Fame for all to view and honor. On behalf of the Indiana Football Hall of Fame, it is my privilege and honor to proclaim these candidates as officially inducted into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations to you and your family.
This is All-Pro running back Mike Alstott from Purdue University. You're listening to K99.3.
Each Hall of Fame inductee was allowed to select someone to introduce them before they received their award. Tim Roth chose his daughter, Ashley Ledford.
Good evening. What a wonderful night it has been so far. Tonight I have the honor of introducing our first inductee, my father, Coach Tim Roth. 38 years coaching, entering his 34th year at Winamac Community High School with a career record of 215 wins and 133 losses, racking up 7,882 points, 10 Midwest Conference championships, 4 sectionals, 2 regionals, and 1 cluster title, 12 players voted in as the Indiana All-Stars, with his 2 sons being on the North roster. You've had the privilege of coaching not only your 2 sons, but 6 of your nephews. And in recent years have begun coaching second-generation players. I know I stand here tonight because of my father's dedication to football. Dad, it's easy for me to stand here and praise you for all your accomplishments, and we are so proud of you. But for me, it's more important to talk about you, the person, Tim Roth. You see, he just isn't Coach Roth. He's our dad and our husband, Mom. And in the Roth household, we live by a simple family motto of faith, family, and football. It's 3 very simple words, but 3 words that you have truly lived by. Faith. Where would our family be without it? As our father, we've witnessed you live by your faith, whether it be on Friday nights as you're calling in the last play as the clock is winding down, just having faith in your players and in your coaches, knowing that they will execute it as you have planned that week. Or in those moments in life that have set you back, perhaps even knocked you down, knowing you relied on your faith to pick you up, to face the next day, to take the next challenge. You are stronger, or we are stronger, because we have witnessed you live by that faith. Family. Family extends well beyond mom, us kids, your siblings, and in-laws. Many are here tonight, and I say many because there's so many familiar faces out there. They've been touched by you in some form. You have been a role model and father figure to players and students alike, many of which weren't fortunate enough to have a father figure in their lives. You've inspired past players and students to follow their dreams, to follow their passions, just like you have. Many have gone on to be coaches, to start to build programs of their own, or even to be a part of yours. Others have gone on to become doctors, servicemen and women, businessmen, teachers, and fathers of their own. I know you are proud of them as if they are your own. You share a bond with your coaching staff, both past and present, that is truly special. They are family to the Roths. Think back to the times you celebrated with them, laughed with them, and even cried with them. I've heard you say a number of times that you wouldn't be here tonight without them. And for us, it wasn't always easy growing up the coach's kid. I'm sure my sister Sarah and brothers Parker over there and Tyler would totally agree, or as the wife sitting in the stands, but we wouldn't change it for the world. I'm sure that Mom and my siblings are just as proud of you sitting by your side as I am today up here beaming with pride. And then there's football. Well, that story has been well written and is well documented and will continue to develop over the next few years or more. As for tonight, I am so proud to introduce you as a Hall of Fame coach, a Hall of Fame dad, and a Hall of Fame husband. Ladies and gentlemen, my father, Coach Roth.
That was Ashley Ledford, the daughter of Tim Roth, introducing her father as one of the newest members of the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. Coming up next, we'll hear from Tim Roth himself as well as his son Parker. You're listening to Thursday Night Sports Talk here on K99.3 WKVI.
Our next guest is Parker Roth. He was a former player for Coach Tim Roth, who's now in the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. And Parker, what was it like when you were in high school playing for this now Hall of Fame coach? What made him so effective?
Well, first off, it was just a really good experience. Just learning from him, having him teach you the X's and O's, basically. I mean, he just knew what you were capable of as a player, so he was never going to put you in a bad position to fail. He always put you in that position to where he knew you would succeed, and it was going to make you better as a player and your team better as a whole.
Tell me about now Coach Roth as Dad Roth. How much football was talked about in the course of your family day-to-day activities?
Surprisingly, it wasn't all that much. Maybe an hour a day after every practice, be like, you need to work on this, we as a team need to work on this. And then when Friday nights come, he's just like, just remember what we talked about all week long. I know you can do it. I know we can do it. Just go out and have fun. Just remember what we had talked about, and you'll be fine.
You know, one of the things that your dad talked about in accepting the honor was the fact that it was a real Roth family. Your freshman year,
yes,
when your brother Tyler was a senior and you were a freshman, and you had cousins on the team. What was that like?
Oh, it was fun. Just that one full year of playing with them, it was just exciting. We had a really good team, and we ended up being pretty successful individually and as a team. But yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of fun and memories that you'll never forget.
The last question I want to ask you is, what advice do you have for those young guys hanging around Winnemac who want to play football for Tim Roth?
Stay focused, train hard, and set your goals high, and he'll put you in a position to succeed.
Now we're talking with the third inductee into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame, Tim Roth. What a great class to go in with. I mean, you're talking about two of the greatest Purdue football players in history, and from this day forward, you're going to be mentioned in the same breath with Leroy Keys and Mike Alstott. How does that make you feel?
A little. The sky was the limit for those two guys, and they were such great athletes and great players here at Purdue that there's no comparison as far as my playing career, but they went in as football players, and I went in as a football coach. So, I'm just very humbled, Nate, by all this, and to be up there with those two was just something incredible, and to have them, give me the private messages that they did before and afterwards. It's very, 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 very humbling.
Talk about some of the things that have brought you to this point in your career. So many wins, so much success as a head coach, now a Hall of Fame coach. Tell us a little bit about what has gotten you to this point.
A lot of good players, a lot of good assistant coaches, a community that appreciates more than just wins and losses, working with their kids, and trying to do the right thing, and a support system at home with my wife and kids, and the assistant coaches' wives. It's at Winnemac. It's all one big family, and like any family, we're going to have our arguments and disagreements and so on. But at the end of the day, we're all in it for the same goal. Everybody's going to quit playing football someday, Nate, and you saw Leroy and Mike both talk about that their careers, ended whether they wanted them to or not. And but your career's never going to end as a person until, as Leroy says, the good Lord calls you home. And so you try and give them some life lessons, teach them some life lessons that football can teach, and hope that transcends into the real world. In the game of football, you get knocked on your butt, but you got to get back up and get ready for the next play. In the game of life, you're going to get knocked on your butt, and the world doesn't stop, as you well know, as I've experienced. It doesn't stop because you lose a game, or you lose a loved one, or you lose something, and you've got to pick yourself back up and go on.
Finally, Coach, got to ask you, being a father and a coach, you coach both your sons, Tyler and Parker. Tell us about that experience, what it was like having the opportunity to coach both of your sons.
Well, it was good and bad, mainly good. In the younger days when they weren't starters, it was kind of rough at home, getting them to accept their role and knowing what their part was. But then they also learned that they had to do a lot of hard work, and they were under the microscope more than any other players. And for them to achieve, they had to do the extra things. They had to set the extra examples and those kind of things. And fortunately, the year that they both got to play together, which was the 2000 team, we were very successful. They both had great years that year. Tyler went on to become a North All-Star, and unfortunately didn't make it to the game, having died a week after he graduated. But if you could go back in that time machine, Moyne and I both say we would go back to that year, because Tyler's junior year, he was in kind of a backup role, and then he had that breakout year his senior year, and we were on top of the football world that year. Parker was a freshman and playing because Austin Cowley had a torn ACL, so he had to step in and play defense right away. It was just, that year is, if we could go back in time, it would be that. The coach's kid is always going to be more scrutinized because he's the coach's kid, but to both sons' credits, they handled it very well, I thought. And unfortunately, Parker didn't have the great teams his junior and senior year like he had his freshman and sophomore years, but he went on to become a North All-Star and played well in that game as well. And it's just been a great run, and I'm glad the boys got to be a part of that, but I'm glad we've tried to emphasize, like we said tonight in Ashley's opening remarks and mine, faith, family, and football, and it's really been that, Nathan. It's you got to have faith in God that you can get up and go from one day to the next. You better have faith in your family, because they're the ones that are always going to be there. And football's just it's a game we play, and it's a lot of fun when you win. It's not so much fun when you lose, because you got to work that much harder to get back in the win column. But when you compare it to the game of life, it's not about wins and losses anyway. It's making those young men and women better players, better people, better citizens. Whether they come back to your community or not, they're going to be in somebody's community, and you want them to be shining examples of what your program has given them.
Well, Coach, congratulations on another great honor, and it was great to be a small part of it. And again, congratulations.
Well, I thank you guys for being here. It's you really, personally, I can't put it into words and do it the right way. But like I told you earlier, I'm very humbled by it, but yet very honored that somebody thought enough of me to nominate me and go from there, which I got to put a plug in for Brad Smith, who's a former Region 4 past president, IFCA past president, who's the actual person who nominated me and got me on board. So it's very humbling, very honored, and like you said, I'm right there with Leroy and Mike now on the same page. So I thank the good Lord for that.
Winamac head football coach Tim Roth, the newest member of the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. And on behalf of everyone here at WKVI, we want to say a big congratulations to Coach Roth as well as his family. Just a tremendous honor, a very well-deserved honor, and we're very glad we were able to be there to witness it and to share in the moment with Coach Roth and his family. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Thursday Night Sports Talk. Just a reminder, if you'd like a copy of tonight's show, you can email us at sports@wkvi.com, and we'll run tonight's show off onto a CD for you. Thanks for listening, and as always, we want to encourage you to get out there and support our area athletes.
Can we get a roar from the Winamac section?